I am going to make wonky log cabins, which suits my personality and style down to the ground because accuracy is boring. Necessary sometimes, but boring. I've got a quilt which is made up with log cabin blocks, wonky ones, and I'm really scrappy, really bright colours, and I'm going to give you a little show now. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? It's delicious, isn't it? All those wonky piecing. Now the beauty of these blocks is you can use up all your scraps. There's no measuring, very minimal measuring, and you can make really vibrant blocks with lots of energy. I separated them here with some sashing, which again we have not covered, but we will do. It's standard technique that you will need to know. So we're building up to all of these things. This is the only quilt I've got. That's my cuckoo clock. The only quilt I've got with that's finished with the wonky log cabin blocks. Okay, so here's what we are going to make. This is your tutorial. You're going to be able to watch. Really dynamic, really fun piecing. What you're going to learn. Okay, so you're going to start with a foundation. So that's really useful tip to learn. You're going to learn a bit more about colour, how things work next to each other, how you make decisions like that, and it's just personal taste. You're the only one who has to like it, so don't be worrying you know, whether anyone else likes it or not. It's yours. Practice your piecing, practice your straight stitching, practice your pressing, and just have a lot of fun designing and sewing your wonky log cabin blocks. So tutorials now. You're going to need to assemble all your fabric. Lots of scraps really for this. It's a wonky log cabin, as I said, so nothing's going to be cut precisely. Just use any odds and ends that you've got and try and do a really nice little colour palette that you're happy with. This is called a fabric pull. So you literally go through your stash and you pull fabrics that you think will work together, and don't overanalyze it. Just have a bit of fun with what you've got. I'll talk to you about the strips in a minute. So first of all, we're going to cut your base fabric. Now, wonky log cabin, it really needs a structure to work with. You keep you somewhat true to size. Our finished block will be 12 inches, and normally we would just cut our base foundation fabric 12.5 inches, but because we're so wonky and we're not cutting any fabric on the true grain, on the true grain, so that stop it stretching out of shape, I've cut my base fabric 13 inches. And that just gives us the option, if anything stretches out, we get unsquare, we can trim it up when we've finished sewing. So get your base fabric, piece of calico, bit of interfacing, a bit of patchwork fabric, anything you've got. Something that's quite thin though, you don't want anything too bulky. Cut it 13 inches. Okay, and then we can start thinking about what we want for our centre of our log cabin. You can use little orphan quilt blocks. These look quite cute. Or, as I'm going to do, I've just chosen a nice contrast fabric. Red is traditional, but of course we're not doing traditional at the moment. We're going wonky. Again, tradition to put it right in the middle, a square. But we can have ours offset. You can have it so it looks like a diamond. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to have mine about here, I think. So this is our right side of our fabric. I'm just going to plonk it there. Again, nothing precise. And all I've done is I've cut some strips of fabric, run them up with my scissors, really quickly run up, different lengths, different fabrics, and all you've got to do is pick a couple to start with. I'm going to pick this one, and you're going, I'm not even going to cut it to the right size. I'm going to put it pretty sides together here, and then that will be my first seam to sew, and then you're going to fold it over, and that will be your first log, and then just trim it roughly to size. Again, it's wonky, so all of these pieces I've just cut straight up with my scissors. I've not worried about them being straight or accurate at all. If that makes you nervous or you prefer to be more precise, then just get your rotary cutter out, cut yourself some strips. You want a good assortment though, really. Lots of different lengths, lots of different fabrics, and then we can have fun. The next step is to take it to the sewing machine. At the sewing machine, I've just got it set up for a straight stitch. I've got a neutral coloured thread in it and my ordinary 1/4 inch sewing foot on. I've got my foundation fabric, so I've got that organised, and I've got my central square, which I've put off centre, so it's not actually central, is it? And my first log here. So we're going to put pretty sides together, take it to the sewing machine, just so, 1/4 inch seam, nice and simple. Thread out of the way. Just keep everything flat. Get to the end, do a few back stitches if you like, just to secure things. My machine will cut the thread for me. Go, lift it out, and then we're just going to fold that over, score it with your nails, and we're just going to trim that roughly to size. Okay, so that's our first, it's the first one in, and then we go round and round and round. So I've got to find another little piece that can go here, and you can play with the shadows if you like. You can have lights on one side, darks on another. You can just do completely random. It's entirely up to you. So again, pretty sides together. Sewing, you can do a bit of back stitching if you like. You won't make a huge amount of difference because you're going to sew over that area again anyway. Just keep everything neat and tidy. Cut. Go. Turn it round. Got it. Cut that roughly to size. Keep all your scraps, they might come in handy. Just go all the way around. So the next piece I've got to put in here, so I might start with something a bit darker now. Just anything you like. Anything goes, that's the fun of it. Don't worry too much about sewing a straight line either, because you know it is wonky, so you can get some speed. All you really got to watch is that your square and your logs are actually lying quite flat. You don't want it to get too bulky and lumpy. There you go. I'll just put the final one in, and we've done the first round. See, so nothing, another darker one there maybe. What will I use? It's good to have a big pile of scraps handy. You can have a play. Wonky that piece is. Right, now I've got to come all the way across to this, to the end of the first strip now. There we are. There we go. So that is your first round. There you go. Just done a few rounds now, all the way round, and I've given it a press. It's a good idea to give it a press every couple of go rounds just to keep everything flat, and you can sort of see your progress. It's quite nice to see. Now I've built up quite an area, I can start really playing with some wonky seams. So I could position this next fabric down here, or I can put it at an angle. And this is where the foundation really helps you, because you're not worrying about anything stretching out, because you're stitching it to the foundation, which will stabilize everything. So now I'm going to start adding some wonkiness, which is just a bit of fun. So again, pretty sides together, just so. See what happens. So you'll get into a really nice rhythm. And it's just fun playing with all the different colours and the patterns and how you play off them. And try and vary the width of your strips as well. You want some variety in there. So there you go. You can see how that's progressing quite nicely. So the next one to put here, and I've decided it's going to be a pale one. So we'll just have to find something pale that I like the look of. There you go. And again, I can put it anywhere I like. Along here. And sew it in. So that is how you make a wonky log cabin, and you're just going to keep going round and round and round, building up these layers. Just very methodically, stop and press every few rounds. Have fun and see what happens. Towards the end, our bars will get quite long, and what you might want to do is to start piecing the fabric to get you round, but I'll show you that in a moment. We are just round and round, round and round. Just enjoy your sewing. Choose your scraps. Finger press. Pretty sides together. Go from the top of the last strip. Press. Okay, making progress. So as you can see, I've been adding the strips as we've been going along, and I've actually reached the edge, more than the edge, on the darker strip. So I'm just going to stop adding to that side now. So I've just got these pale bits to do, and it really is over the edge. As I say, that's the beauty of having the foundation. We can trim that back to size. So it's not wasting fabric. Just give yourself plenty to square up with. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with the cream edges now and see what we have. As I say, some of these strips get really long now, so if you haven't got a piece that's long enough, you can just put a seam in it and piece it in like that. That doesn't matter. Or put two different colours together even. It really doesn't matter what you do. Just going to carry on. Only two sides to go. So as you can see, everything's all sewn up now. It's all covered. The base cloth is all covered. And as you remember at the beginning, we started with a 13-inch foundation. So we need to trim that down. Now the finished block is 12 inches, but we need seam allowance added because of course it's not finished yet because it's not sewn into our quilt. So we need to trim to 12.5 inches. 12.5 inches. Okay, so it's hard to trim up from this side. So what we really need to do is turn it over, and you can see the foundation. And what we have to do is just pick a straight edge. We just have to start with one straight edge. So I'm going to trim this one up first, really. And I've got a couple of rulers here. I've got a nice long ruler, which probably most of you have. That's pretty standard. If you've got this ruler, you need to trim, get everything true, and just trim from one edge, being quite mean, quite close to our original foundation. Okay, and then turn, get that on that straight line, and then do the next one. But I have got a square ruler which just happens to be 12.5 inches square, which is very handy, because then what I can do is I can just put this wherever I like, and it's wonky, so I don't have to worry about how it's all going to look. And just position it carefully. Nice firm grip, nice sharp rotary cutter, and then I'm just going to cut away. And as I say, you might need a couple of those with this. I can hear that it's not really making good contact with the board all the time. Got lots of layers of fabric in there. Okay, now then, in an ideal world, and when I'm not filming, I can walk around the table, so I would not move this ruler at all, and then I would cut across and across. But I can't really do that and film with you now, so I'm just going to turn it round. So actually the benefit of having my square ruler is not quite the same as it would have been if I wasn't filming, but you get the idea. What you really want to do when you're trimming up is not move things constantly. She says moving things constantly. Okay, so trimming to 12.5 inches square. Take your time. Go. So we've got two now, two nice sharp crisp edges, which we will line up. So there's endless tools and things you can buy, and really just start with the basics and build up to them as and when you feel like it, when you can afford to. If you've got a birthday coming up, they make quite nice gifts for people, or just ask for fabric constantly, which is what I tend to do. You can't have too much fabric. Less rulers, more fabric, that's what I say. Okay, here you go, last one. 12.5, 12.5. There you go. And steady, there's no panic. There we go. Right, ready? Da, da, da. There, doesn't that look nice? There you go, lovely. There's our finished block. Just need to, there's always threads all over it. So you can see, wouldn't that look great if you put them on point? We haven't covered on point yet in Crafty Monkeys, I know, but we'll get there, don't worry. There you go, one wonky log cabin block.